Hello, one and all. Welcome back to the GRG GT Championship. It's round 2 today. We've got 2 hours of Zolder coming up in just a moment. Time, 9 cars with us today. Hopefully a few more might join in the final stages of qualifying. But nonetheless, 9 cars out on track for this one. 2 hours, short race. Bit of a elongated sprint, I guess you could call it. It's going to be a fun one for sure. Let's have a look at how our competitors are doing today then. So riding with Derek McCord then in Team Mobile McCord with the white rims. He's about to return to the pits, I imagine. So we will go and have a look at our current pole position man. No, scratch that. Phillips has just gone a bit quicker, but in the 57 BMW then, Danilo Patezzi doing well at the moment. Why don't we run on board with him? I'd like to be looking forwards. There we go. You can see where we're going, although that windshield has got a very narrow gap with the number board top right and the rear view mirror as well to be contending with. A bit wide then going over the bollard through the chicane. Not ideal for him, but still 14 minutes left on the clock for him. He's got plenty of time to find pace to set another lap. 8 tenths he's got to find to the 63 Bentley up ahead, which is going to be quite the margin to find. On a quick lap though is Danny Phillipson coming into that final sequence of corners. 63 bright pink Bentley comes across the line. Should he improve? It's a 28.9 at the moment, so he'll come across the line. Looks like he will, and it is a 28.4, breaching that gap well over a second to the two BMWs behind him. So early on in qualifying, big margin for the Bentley, showing that pace that he had early out as well last time at Brands Hatch, which I'm pretty sure he won. So we'll just have a look at that one. And yes he did. He qualified on pole. Did Phillips by a tenth over one of the McLarens, Shareski there in P4, qualified P2 out in Brands Hatch in the opening round. As they came across the line though, that was indeed flipped around. Phillips starting from pit lane, due to not joining the grid in time, did not beat the countdown and missed the start. Had stuck from pit lane and was unable to claw his way up the field in that amount of time. But did get himself up to second though, which was a valiant effort from that Bentley to go from the back of the grid, where we had 13-14 starting Brands Hatch. Good effort indeed for him to get back up the field to second place. We'll have a look at our first winner. Currently in P4 at the moment, improving at the moment, but not by the margin he needs to get that 1.8 second deficit to the 63 ahead. That is quite the margin indeed. That McLaren comes across the line then. We're looking for a 128.4, and there's 8 tenths improvement. 129.5. Still needs to find just over 1 second though to get to Phillips, and that's a brutal margin to find. 10 minutes in qualifying, that's going to be hard to find, but we'll see whether or not they can do it. All on track apart from first and last then. Kukik, they're yet to set a time there in the Porsche number 25. Hopefully they will get themselves out on track in time for a lap to be set. I do have a sandwich next to me that needs to be eaten, but I'm not quite sure when I'm going to get time to eat that sandwich, but we'll see. You might just have to wait until the interlude between qualifying and the race. But until then, to second place, Danilo Petezzi, first driver to get within 2 seconds then of Phillips in the 63 Bentley. So good to see that those are improving out there. Danilo on his 6th lap, setting a 1:29.2. See what Diego here can do, currently improving on his personal best as well. Got a bit of time to find Keishan Hall in the 33 Aston Martin. 1.5 seconds to be found there in the Lamborghini. Nice PRT purple and black livery there. Looks quite striking there on the Lamborghini coming across the line. It does improve, not by enough to catch up to Keishan Hall though. A good 5 or so tenths improvement for him. It's good that Rodriguez then is out on track in that 25, but I'm pretty sure that's been a name change, so possible driver change for those two. In qualifying, deciding on the other driver to set their lap in this session. Company got first and third in the pits, and the 57 is around. It's Danilo who's gone back to the pits. Wasn't quite able to get with him before he returned to the pits, but that was through turn 1, I believe, where he had a moment. It's the top 3 currently in the pits. 8 minutes to go. Plenty of time for those guys to get themselves back out on track. See if they can improve their times once again. To start another lap then, Jose Oliveira, the 99 BMW, and we'll go on board as well with him. See what onboards we have to choose from. We'll go with this one. I think that's probably the best onboard to choose, and we'll go through turn 3 down 1 gear, missing the apex there just a little bit and runs wide as a consequence. Compromises your run then down to the chicane, as you're going to be bleeding speed off the exit from turn 3. 1 curb, 2 curb, a little bit shy on the entry curb on the left hand side there. Could probably use a bit more, but is neat and doesn't get himself a track cut, which is the primarily more important thing to deal with, and way too deep. So trying to compensate for the first chicane, goes a little too hard into the second one. Keishan Hall on the bubble there, trying to improve. I don't think he will this time around. In fact, he does not, but was pretty close to his personal best and dives off the racing line into the gravel. Teleport his way back to the pits. We've got plenty then in the pits, so we're just going to be waiting for the track to improve. You can see the track is fast and there's no forecast of rain here. Track and air temperature at 26 degrees with no wind at all. So it's pretty ideal conditions. Couldn't be much better if you wanted for the drivers out here. Derek McCord, P7 at the moment, got half a second to find. Drops down to P8, someone else improves. That's the 25 going up to P2. Derek improves as well, back to P7 then. Gets a good improvement actually. About a second or so to go ahead of the 77. So everyone there has now set a lap. We'll see whether anyone else can catch up to Phillips. Yeah, the 25 there, Vasquez Rodriguez, the 25 doing a very good lap there just to be within 4 tenths of a second, our closest challenger yet to the 63. And a bit of a mistake there from McCord. Hits the barriers, he'll return to the pits. Let's go pick someone else before he does. And it changes the camera settings. Every time you go to the pits, it gets reset to camera set 1. It's very annoying. Just making sure everything is running smoothly. If there's anyone there in the chat, I'm watching both Twitch and YouTube. Make sure I've got the Twitch going. There it is. And there are a few comments in there. So welcome everyone, including one of our drivers, the 54 McLaren. You're in chat and driving. I feel like driving is probably a little bit more important than the Twitch chat, but nice to see you doing both at the same time. And of course the 36 from Seiku. Good luck to all drivers indeed. Although there's only 9 of them, hopefully it should be a good race, and hopefully we've got some tight battles in there. I'm looking at from 3rd to 6th there, all within relatively close comfort. So that could be interesting to see how they manage themselves over the next 2 hours. He's your brother. I just read that. Well, hopefully you can cheer him on there in the 25 car. And certainly the closest rival to our 63 driver who we're watching at the moment. Currently not improving on this lap at the moment, about a 10th or so down. That's very aggressive through the first chicane there. Hasn't been able to use that to any effect. You saw the right rear go way up into the sky there. Not the best kind of line you want to be taking, but neatly through the second chicane. Able to get the power down well out of the following right hand and then onto the final sector of this track. Has lost a bit of time there through that first chicane. Very aggressive, lost a heap of time through there and will not be improving on this lap. 3 people in the pits. They've got about a minute or so to get themselves out if they want to be setting a final lap in qualifying. If not, that is the best they will be doing. There will not be an improvement for Danny Phillips this time around. Just under 3 minutes on the clock. He will get 2 more laps here to try and extend his lead over the 25 and anyone else who might be able to challenge. It looks like Oliveira in the 99 currently improving because he's coming into the final stages of the lap, braking for the right hand hairpin. Gets it stopped nicely. As we come into that final chicane. And on the power nicely. Should be an improvement here for the 99. 1.8 seconds off the leader at the moment. Comes across the line and it is, as I read that slightly wrong, but it was an improvement. Keeps in P5 and also improving the 25 then, Noah Sully. Neatly through the chicane there, a bit of a hop and skip, but much more controlled than what we saw the Bentley do just a moment ago. Twice racing car, 25 with the duck on the door panels. That might have been a bit too much eagerness there from the 25, but lap is still valid, is improving. Minute and a half to go. They'll have one more try at this when they finish this lap into the right hand hairpin. Very neat, very tidy there. Well on the power as well. No signs of overexerting the car's performance at all as we come into the final 2 corners then. Can they get it stopped? Yes, they can. Over both curbs very neatly. That car is planted at the moment. Easy on the throttle, come across the line. 4 tenths though, that gap has increased, but will it come down? Yes, it will. Pole provisionally then for the 25 with 25 hundredths, 25,000, sorry, ahead of the 63 then. So the gauntlet laid down then. Have to wait and see who can improve. Next across the line will be the 99 car, currently P5. Will they improve from their 129 dead? They will. Oh, I've read that slightly wrong there. But they do improve on their final lap. congrats to them, keeping themselves in P5. Next across the line then, your 97 car, William Lebowski. In the McLaren, a little deep into the final hairpin. That will invalidate their lap, unfortunately. Trying to give it all they've got that final time around. Diego then, in the 77, will be our penultimate driver across the line then. I think Jose is on the lap, but is Jose on that? Yes, he is on the lap. So the qualifying is now over. We've got 3 more drivers to come across the line to see what they can do. The first will be the 77 then to come into the final chicane. See what he can do. He's on the bubble with his time. It's a little scrappy through the final chicane there. You can see the front losing grip then. Yeah, he will not be improving that lap, but who will be improving, it looks like here, is the 25 car from a 28.3 to 28.1. Improvement there solidifies their pole position. We'll go have a look then at Oliveira, who is our final car to come across the line. Pole position to the 25. Head of the 63 and then ahead of the 57 with a big slide there. And what could have been an improvement for Oliveira will not be this time around. So there is your top 9 with 2 others there in the server, which hopefully will be joining us for the race. That'd be good to have 11 cars with us. So pole position goes to the 25 then, ahead of the 63, the 57, your 54 in 4th position ahead of Jose Oliveira in 5th place, Keishan Hall in the 33 Aston Martin in P6, ahead of Derek McCord in the 513 white rim Mercedes, then Diego Gerardo in P8 in 77, and then Zlatnik in the 17 ahead of William Lebowski in the 97. That'll do it for qualifying. We'll be back in about 4 minutes for the racing action. 2 hours of Zolder coming right up.
Being forced to leave a military career filled with purpose and pride can be challenging. Motorsports offers an opportunity to regain that sense of identity within a safe, fast-paced team environment, providing a renewed sense of purpose. Operation Motorsport believes in the power of team, identity, and purpose.
What's up, guys? This is Rob. Probably know me a little bit better as Type Shrift than Rob, but today we're going to be taking a little bit of a deeper look into kind of behind the scenes of Type Shrift and go over some of the very incredible stuff that we have coming up very shortly. So about 2 years ago, I was a senior in college and I had the idea for Type Shrift in between 2 classes. Since then, I think we have created one of the better communities out there as far as this stuff goes. You guys have been literally the lifeblood that keeps this stuff rolling, and with that, we have brought some pretty special items here to bring forth to you guys. As a car guy and as a collector myself, there's a lot of shared commonality between you and I. I've met people internationally and here in the United States that share the exact same passion that I have with this stuff. Most of the things that are available on Type Shrift are either forgotten about or just kind of lost through time, and now they're getting a second look on life, bringing back into the homes of enthusiasts, homes of collectors, garage art that starts up a conversation. Everybody's got a connection to all this stuff, one way or another. With the recent collection, we're scaling up a little bit from the traditional 8.5 by 11 single frame and dual frame pieces. A lot of these are going to be bigger format, more substantial pieces of history for the Type Shrift collector. On top of framed vintage pieces, we've got a lot more wearable items, and these are incredibly special. These are not for sale anywhere else other than TypeShrift, and if they are, they're not nearly in this good of shape. These are official Camel GT 75th anniversary t-shirts. Some real deal, usable and wearable vintage motorsport nostalgia. Perfect condition, no pit stains, no oil stains, no rips, no tears like you've traditionally seen. Tons of Camel stuff, tons of vintage t-shirts from all sorts of race events throughout the 80s. Some of the coolest stuff that's been available on the TypeShrift storefront. For the 90s DTM fans, for the Camel GT fans, anything with box fenders, huge wings, and incredibly wide magnesium BBSs, you guys are all in for a treat.
And welcome back, everybody. We're on the formation lap then for the 2 hours of Zolder. Our 25 Porsche pole sitter leading the way over second place in the championship, the 63 Bentley of Danny Phillips. And of course, leading the championship, the 54 McLaren there in fourth place, David Shareski. See if he can claw his way up the field. Make sure that very bright pink Bentley is unable to get away. Lots of weaving there. It's pretty good conditions still after qualifying. Track is fast. Temperature has dropped by 1 degree in both aspects of ambient and track temperature. And it's sunny with a little bit of cloud. All in all, a good day to go racing, that's for sure. As they make their way through the short lap here. Zolder is a pretty short lap. And should keep the racing close, hopefully. But we'll have to wait and see. To come into the hairpin, or at least coming out of it, they will go side by side, and we should have a Noah's Ark 2x2 starting formation. And indeed they are. So here we go then, folks. 2 hours on the clock, 9 cars on track. It's a Porsche leading a Bentley, leading a McLaren, leading a BMW. 4 different brands in the top 4. It's going to be a good one. It's a little bit dark, it's a little bit cloudy out there. You can see the headlights shining on the ground, making a visible impact to visibility today. But the track is fast and the temperature is good as they wait for the green. They wait for the signal to go. The 2 hours of Zolder will be underway, taking it right to the line then. And we're still waiting for that green flag. There it is. Cars are released. It's a good start then from Bettesi in the BMW, looking to the inside immediately. Unable to get the Porsche, but does slip his way into second position, side by side with himself and the Bentley there for second place. We'll focus on these two now then. And Danilo trying to hold it around the outside, unable to do so. The Bentley just about has the legs there, and he's going to drift a little bit wide there in the old school BMW. He's in the M6 there, and it'll be Shresky then, our championship leader, who dives his way into P3, and in fact under pressure Danilo from Jose Oliveira. From going from challenging for second, now actually under pressure from Keishan Hall, the Aston Martin to the outside, swoops round. Well done from the 33 Aston Martin there. Tidy move, and from challenging to second down to P6 in the matter of one sector and a couple of corners there for the BMW M6 there. Danilo Petezzi, treacherous start for him, not what he wanted at all. Him battling though with the 63 Bentley in the first few corners has allowed our pole sitter then, the 26, to run away with it ever so slightly. He's got 1 second gap there over the 63, who's trying to keep him honest. In fact, the Bentley has also done well to pull away from the rest of the field. It is the McLaren then of David Shresky who's going to try and keep the charging pack behind him under control as we complete our first lap of racing here at Zolder. 1 hour, 58 minutes and 30 seconds to go. There'll be one pit stop made during this race for all competitors. No mandatory pit stop, but that fuel is not going to go the entire way, so they will need to make one pit stop at some point for sure. As we make our way then through turn 2 for the second time this race, and the front few competitors getting a little bit spread out. It's Danilo who is trying to get past Keishan Hall, trying to make it for lost time. He was very hot on the back of Phillips there, side by side, and actually a crash there. Danilo Petezzi getting sent to the wall there. That's unfortunate for him. Big damage on the front end for the 57 BMW. You'll have to limp that one back and get it repaired. And it's just when I was looking at the other screen to go and select someone else on the broadcasting, where I looked back and there was a BMW in the wall, looking at the wrong thing at the wrong time there. It's really unfortunate there for Petezzi, who was a quick runner, who qualified in P3, could have been up there challenging for the podium or the win today. That would not be happening for him at all. Not without some very big misfortunes for other drivers over the next 2 hours. It is 7 AM of course, which is why the headlights are working very well at the moment. Over the next 2 hours, it'll only get brighter, and the track will only get hotter as well. Sure, we should be seeing Danilo into the pits. Yes, there he is, into the pits, and that pit marker has indeed shown. Really unfortunate for him with the damage as well and the short lap time around Zolder. Won't be surprised if we see him go a lap down as well. Really unfortunate for the 57 to happen so early on in the race. You see our top 5 starting to spread out then, able to find their feet in the opening stages of this race. A bit of wide for the second part of the chicane for Oliveira. Going to cost him a little bit of time. Keishan Hall will catch up just a little bit. There in that Aston Martin. In fact, a mistake there for Hall as well in the second chicane. So a mistake for the 99 and a mistake for the 33. Everyone trying to find their feet here early on in these, I was going to say tricky conditions, but they're really not. Quite nice conditions for the drivers today. And still just trying to warm themselves up to the current conditions, different to qualifying, different fuel level as well, of course, slightly different setup maybe, slightly more conservative setup for the race cars for this 2-hour race. So just refinding their feet. Looks like in the background, Derek McCord going to come under pressure there from Diego Giraldo, as they set near identical lap times that time around, and indeed the Lamborghini looking a little bit feisty there. So we're going to go on board with him. You see the sun peeking through there, the nice rose tinted colours, and the big slide through turn 3 from McCord. Is this going to be the 77th chance? In the slipstream, backs out of it. Didn't think he would have the legs there into the chicane. possibly the wise thing to do early on in the race, not take a risk, just stay back, but clearly putting some pressure there on the 513 ahead. Either that or Derek as well, struggling to adapt to these conditions in race and outbraking himself, almost running himself into the back of the Mercedes ahead there. Couple of mistakes then from drivers early out in this race. Lots of minor ones, of course. The big one for Danilo Petessi, who is a lap down. Going to wait for him to come across the line, and will that change to a time? Yes. So he's not completely a lap down then. He was able to get ahead of the 25, so not completely a lap down, which is good. Means he should be able to stay within fighting contention, and maybe he'll be able to claw his way back to the back of the field to P8 there, Lebowski, the 97, but we'll stay with the 77 here. Just lost a little bit of time to the 513 ahead, but keeping it conservative, keeping it steady, keeping it controlled. As long as you're on the black stuff, making time, then you're going to be quicker than those around you. And that's what we learnt in a big fashion from the 57 on the opening lap, who ended his way into that barrier there on the left hand side. Big damage to him. And we'll wait for him to complete his first proper flying lap to see what sort of pace the 57 has got at the moment. Compare it to the 97, the 77 and the 513 to see if there's any chance of the 57 catching up these guys before the end of the race. As there is a big margin to catch up, about 2/3 of a lap. You're looking at well over 100 seconds worth of time to catch, which is easier said than done. A bit wider there into the second hairpin. For the 77, has lost touch a little bit there with McCord. Perhaps being too cautious when McCord made that mistake through turn 3 has cost him there. Maybe he should have pounced where he could have. Maybe he would have been able to make a move there on the 513. Having a look though at Jose Oliveira in the new gen, the current gen BMW. The big kidney grills at the front. 1.7 seconds off the back of the McLaren ahead. Shareski not putting on the pressure that I would have thought he would have done for the 63 or the 25. In fact, the 25 completely bolting up off the road there. Just over 3 seconds ahead of P2. It's been a blitzing start from that 25 Porsche. See if they can keep it up for the next hour and 50 minutes. Danilo's last time was a 1:30.7. Compare that to Jose Oliveira's time, which was a 1:30 dead. And Keishan Hall's last time a 1:31.4. So he's in the middle of those two. So currently pace of P5, quicker than Keishan Hall. But of course, being quicker is one thing. Trying to catch that time all up is going to be another thing. And he is slower than the 25 and the 63 as well. And you can see it's not a lot of pace, or not a lot of difference in distance between the 57 and the 25. So it's likely that the 25 will catch up to that 57 and possibly put him a lap down, which will make things a lot harder for the 57 to catch up. And in fact, actually, might be a mistake there for Danilo. Yes, there is. So scratch that. He is already a lap down now, and that will make his life a lot harder. Got himself back underway, which is good. I imagine he just made a mistake through the chicane there, taking a little too much liberty with the curbs, and that spat him out to the right hand side. But yeah, lap down now to 2 cars, 25 and that 63, with the others behind in close pursuit. Any time he gained catching up to the 97 in those previous laps after coming out the pits, he has lost, and probably lost to more than that as well. So he's got to do that all over again Day gets from bad to worse for Danilo Petezzi then in the 57. McCord currently improving on his personal best in the race so far, the only driver to be doing so at the moment. Of course, those times will get faster as the fuel level drops, because you then have to deal with a degrading tyre as well. Coming across the line, we're looking for a 131.9, and it is a 132 dead. 95 thousandths slower, or 9.5 hundredths slower than his personal best, so a minuscule amount, but still keeping a touching distance away from the 77s. Managed to get that gap to just over a second and a half and able to maintain that. 77 will just be lying in wait for the next time that Derek makes a mistake. That's if he does. And there was a bit of mistake there actually. You see the rear end bouncing up. Too much curb being taken there. The 97 into the pits. Possible that he had a mistake somewhere, got a bit of damage. All of that, he forgot to add in the extra fuel at the start from qualifying to race. But coming through the pits then. And there he is, parked there at the moment. Looks like Danilo might actually overtake. I believe that was for position. To wait for the timings to update and they get to the next sector split. I believe that was full position. Danilo will move his way up to 8th place. It says he's 8th in the bottom right, but we'll wait for that confirmation on the sector split, and there it is. So Danilo no longer last, unfortunately, for the 97, with some repairs or something to be dealt with in the pits, which has set him back quite a fair amount. In fact, there's a retirement for the 97 there, just disconnected there. That's unfortunate for Lebowski. Brings us down to 8 drivers then for this race, and puts Danilo back to last. So just as I'm saying he's done well to get himself out of last place, never mind, back to last he goes. Fastest lap then going to our race leaders, the 128.7, the only car to have done a 128 in this race, and the gap is out just over 4 seconds to the 63. Gradually pulling away, as is the 63 over the 54 as well. So it is these front two which are going to be our main rivals. A lot of curve there for the 25. A little bit sketchy, and you don't want to take anything more because you'll see what happened to Danilo, where he lost a heap of time with that mistake. So they do have to be careful. Neatly on the bow though, we'll have a comparison of what this lap time was compared to their best, and still within touching distance, 4 tenths off their fastest lap, and they can maintain that sort of pace. That's going to be race winning pace for sure. Phillips 3 tenths slower than them that time around as well, so gradually making that gap a little bit quicker a little bit further away from second place. Who needs to start catching up then is Shareski in the 54, now 8.5 seconds off the back of the Bentley. Has got a lot of time to find. Last lap was a 1 minute 30.7 compared to a 1:29.4, so it's a huge margin that he's got to find to that 63. Let's hope that he can find it. You can see Danilo there, just keeping touching distance with the McLaren. His last lap actually a couple of attempts faster than the McLaren we're with right now. So it shows that Danilo could have had the pace had he not had that issue on the opening lap. He would have been right with these guys fighting for position. So it is very unfortunate that he is now a lap down and has got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up to that 27 car coming into the second chicane about now. And there's a lot of time to be found for him. Blue flags will appear for Danilo with that other BMW behind of Jose Oliveira, but currently as of yet not right in the striking distance, not quite there yet of the older BMW ahead. So Danilo's got a little bit of breathing distance at the moment, and lap time suggests that Jose is matching Danilo. Catching a little bit, but not by a huge amount. But maybe he can use Danilo to try and catch up to the McLaren ahead. And wow, another mistake there for Danilo. Using way too much curb there on the first chicane, and you see how much height how much he gets, and because of that, with the track cut, he's garnered himself a drive through, another track cut there as well. This is really not good driving from Danilo right now. Drive-through penalty, and I'm sure he'll let Jose through, who as well indeed pulls off to the right-hand side, realises that his pace, his frustration possibly growing there, and does the right thing of just getting out the way of the sister BMW. It has been a day to forget for Danilo, and we're only 18 minutes into this race. Shows how fortunes can go sometimes, from challenging for P2 into the first corner for dropping down to P6 and then ending up in a wall. Not been the race start that Danilo Pettetti would have wanted as he makes his way into the pits for that drive-through. His hopes of catching P7 all but squashed, I would imagine. In fact, we'll even end up ahead of the 77. You see, he comes across the line now. We'll look to the left-hand side, and we should see Danilo exiting the pits round about now. Of course, the camera sweeps around, so we will be unable to see him. There he is, just in the background, so he is a lap down then to the 77. That is a big, big margin for him to try and find. Seeing some tidy corners there from Keishon Hall in the 33 Aston Martin, our only Aston Martin here today. And he is repping the British marquee for this season. We'll see how he did the last time out at Brands Hatch, that's what it's called. And we'll have a look. He came fourth there. at Brands Hatch. Currently 5th this time around, and it is only reason he is 5th is because of the 25 that has joined the series and is currently leading the way. Keishan Hall has dropped a large distance back then to the 99, although his lines, his driving style are safe and content. They're not setting the world alight in terms of lap times. Last lap time was 7 tenths slower than Oliveira. So not what he needs at all. Catching though, at least catching on that previous lap, was Oliveira on Shareski. We come across the line, proves by another tenth of a second in that final sector. He was half a second quicker over that previous lap there. The 99 running wide is that 54 on the right hand side at turn 1. So that's going to be far more time consuming than what the 54 would have liked. Maybe this is a little bit of pace found from the 99. Try and catch up to that 3rd place McLaren up ahead. Yeah, there we go. That gap down to 2.9. 2.6 now, so another 3 tenths found, and with that mistake through turn 1 for the 54 McLaren certainly costing him the majority of that time. And Jose will see that gap coming down and down and down, and Shareski will see that gap as well coming down and down and down. And they will have very conflicting feelings about that gap reducing. Of course, Jose is going to be much more happier than David ahead. However, that gap stabilising at 2.8 then. As the McLaren's able to put together a decent middle sector. But we will stay with Jose for a little bit. So come across the line, compare those lap times, it's just a tenth slower that time around for Jose. Gap edges onto the plus side of 3 seconds. This is our closest battle on track, and Danilo has unfortunately retired, as was slightly to be expected there with the opening incident that he had, and the drive through being 1 lap down to P7 is not really going to be an enjoyable race for him at all. An unfortunate retirement there, leaving 7 cars left on track, hour and 35 still to go. Still remaining our closest gap on track, 2.5 seconds there between 3rd and 4th. There's the 54 now 17 seconds off the back of the Bentley. He was doing a good job to keep 4 seconds and keeping that margin steady there to the 25. Had crept up to almost 5 seconds, but has been brought down a little bit. Previous lap time for Danny Phillips at 63 was 3 tenths quicker than our race leader. So the gap's doing a bit of an accordion effect, sort of ebbing and flowing, coming in and out. I'm sure that's going to be happening for the remainder of this race as well. Again, wide through turn 1 for the 54. It's going to lose them a little bit of speed through the first 2 corners. That gap 2.6 at the moment. We'll take a onboard then with our race leader as he comes across the line into turn 1. And we'll just see how he does things. Opening observations there through sector 1. He certainly likes to use the curb, especially on the exit of turn 2 on the left hand side to come into the chicane. And yep, using all the curb, maybe a little bit too much on the right hand side there, but certainly being relatively aggressive with it. Very neat for the second chicane there, using all of it, and of course that's a very flat curb, even though it does have the little bit of sausage rumble curbs that are perpendicular to the track there to try and put you away from taking all of it. Of course these GT cars can take all of it quite happily, and it was very flowing for the second chicane there from the 25s. We come to the final one now. We'll see how well he keeps it to the left hand side. Does so well enough, able to open up that final right-hander. Use the curb and then a bit more of that extra lattice kind of stuff that they have on the outside there. It's a pretty tidy lap there. Just a couple of attempts off his fastest lap, but we're under the 129s there. So a very quick lap indeed from him. We'll compare that to Derek McCord. Actually no, to the 54, because they're about to start a lap. Compare that then to David there, who's under a little bit of pressure from the 99 of course, but we'll have a comparison here. And that last lap for him was 1.4 seconds slower than the 25. So let's try and have a look at where he's losing those 1.4 seconds. And good through the first few corners there. Didn't use all the road through the left-hander at turn 1. Didn't use all the curb either on the left hand side on turn 2, but good through turn 3. We'll see how that chicane is this time around. Hopefully not too much curb. And a bit better. Cost themselves a bit of time there, not taking the full amount of curb on the left hand part, the first bit of the chicane. Cost them a bit through the second part of the chicane. And a bit more conservative through the second chicane, but still neatly done. So come blinding through the right hander there. That's going to be annoying for the remainder of this race. The sun is just peering through your eyes, or piercing should I say. Neatly stopped as well for the hairpin, and we'll see how he favours up the final chicane, third and final. A little bit of hesitation turning in then, that does compromise him for the right hand side, but does use all the track available to him coming out. We'll see that lap from a 129.9 to a 128.9 to a 130.1. So 1.2 seconds slower. That's still tidy lap, but of course not as aggressive as the 25, and that's where you're losing the time, is in how aggressive you want to be using the curbs, using the brakes and the throttle. And you can see the 25 is just that much more ambitious, getting themselves a bit more time, but risk comes reward, and the 54 I'm sure is running at a pace which is comfortable to them, keeping a steady pace and good enough for P3 and good enough to keep Jose Oliveira behind as well at the moment. So I'm sure David here isn't too displeased with the performance he's putting in the first half now of this race. We've seen Formula 1 do this a few times, so why don't we go for an audio up lap, as they call it. No commentary, let's just watch Keishan Hall for one lap around Zolder. Pretty tidy lap then from Hall in the 33 Aston Martin at 1 minute 31.9 for him. And if you're going to ask if that was just an excuse to eat the rest of my sandwich, yes it was. It's a pretty good sandwich, standard ham and cheese that is now being consumed. So we can go back to focusing on this race. Again, gaps just stabilising. Everyone has found their own rhythm. What we have to wait for now is the pit stop phase, which will open with about an hour and 5 to go. And we'll probably close with about 55 to 50 minutes to go, depending on how much fuel conservation people have done. Or depending on how quickly they want to get rid of those tyres, because maybe they've flat spotted them or overheated them at some point and just want to get onto the new set a little bit earlier. I have to wait and see, and that's going to be really where any moves that can happen probably will. Maybe the 63 has a slightly quicker stop than the 25 and is able to gain a second or two in the pit stop phase, which allows them to possibly put the pressure on. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it works in the opposite way. 25 has a bit of a quicker pit stop, extends that gap. Have to wait and see. About half an hour away or so that will be. Plenty of cars using that right-hand curb, the second part of the curb in the chicane, putting themselves up on two wheels. I'm starting to think if that's just what you're meant to do, because plenty of people have been doing it, and only seems like Danilo Petezzi, who's retired from this race, has come foul of taking too much curb. Seems like everyone else is pretty happy to do so. Again, those gaps are fluctuating up and down a little bit. The 63 now 4.5 seconds off the back of the 25. The 99 now back under 3 seconds to the 54. So they are sort of bobbing and weaving. But nothing yet doing for either of these duos to actually have a fight on track. They're teasing, should we say. And they're not quite close enough to have a on track battle as of yet. Still, we'll wait with bated breath. Hour and 23 to go. But whilst that's happening, we'll bring up the calendar and what else is going on in the world of GRG. So let's bring up the full calendar for the GT Championship. There it is. And of course, we've had the 2 hours of Brands Hatch. And we're in the 2 hours of Zolder out now once a month. And we've got Championship 1, I guess you could call it, first 6 months of the year. Championship 2, the second 6 months of the year. But of course, we're going to be going to Suzuka, then to Imola, Zandvoort, and finishing off with a 2.4 hour of Spa as our season finale. All of those are going to be some good events. Particularly looking forward to Imola and Zandvoort. Tight, twisty circuits, a bit like this one here at Zolder. I prefer that to the wider circuits we're going to get at Suzuka and Spa. Although Spa is, of course, a good circuit. I would prefer the tight, twisty ones, and that's what this calendar's mainly been. Of course, with Brands Hatch as well. Certainly being one of those old school tracks where if you put a foot wrong, you're going to have an accident pulling over to the left. To the right hand side there, the 77 to go a lap down there to the 63. He was able to use that traffic quite well, actually. Close a couple attempts onto the 25. 99 as well, closest it's been to third place. So let's go have a look at that. Let me bring back the world so you guys can see that. There we go. And that BMW there is as close as it's ever been to the back of the McLaren. I'm sure it's smelling blood in the water. I'll see whether or not it can capitalise on that, or if it's just going to drift away like we saw with McCord earlier on. McCord and Geraldo, they were close, but Geraldo just drifted away, sort of faded away into the background, unfortunately, when it came to that battle. But keeping the tabs close, the 99 at the moment, to come through the final corner to start lap number 26 for these guys. As long as that gap stays under a second, the fight is on, and we will stay with this fight unless something else happens to someone else somewhere else. Got all the sums in there in one sentence. I think that's a good achievement by me. And it's good to see the brotherly support there. And I believe that's for the 25 then, Kiki. And I'm pretty sure I saw that name pop up in the 25 as well. So congrats to them on their entry to the series to get themselves up into the lead. And although that gap's actually come down a little bit, the closest it's been since the opening 10 minutes of the race. They are comfortably out there in the lead, and the 63 is just trying to do what it can to keep up with that 25 car. And as it's a 99 right now, has caught up to the 99, the 54. Sorry. Catching is one thing, passing is another, and that's where the difficulties lie. Is where is this BMW gonna get past the McLaren? First, it's got to close up completely to even attempt that, and that gap goes out above 1 second, so losing a bit of time there to the McLaren. That's not what it wants right now. It wants to close up, wants that gap to get smaller and smaller. Currently going the other way about it. And the mistake there from the 99 shows how hard he was pushing there. So there's a cone there. Not quite sure how that got there, but it shows how much that 99 is pushing at the moment, trying to keep up with the McLaren, and doing so runs a bit wide for the first chicane on the left hand side, a bit wide there as well on the exit of the second chicane. That gap is going to extend to 1.6 seconds then as we go through sector 2. It's lost contact there with the 54, and what was a brief chance to take the final step on the podium has sort of diffused there for now. Whilst that's going on, why don't we check in with our race leader? And you can see second right there, Derek McCord, the Mercedes in the background there, currently P6, not fighting for position with those two, is also a lap down then to the race leaders. Have a look here then at the 25, the Twice Racing team with the ducks on the door panels. Nice deep blue colour there with the gold accents. Looks very nice on the Porsche. I like how they've got the golden line coming out of the duck's tail. That looks quite nice. I enjoyed that. A very tidy livery indeed. They look to continue their run of form in this race, doing all that they need to, not going over the limit and not driving too slowly. They have chosen their pace and they are sticking with it, and only really increasing their pace whenever they feel the threat from the 63, which hasn't been too often. Sometimes that 63 gets within 3 seconds of the 25, and when it does, 25 just increases its pace by a tenth or two, waits for that gap to increase, then settles back down. It's been working for them so far, although they've been taking a fair amount of curb in the first chicane, which has got me a little bit worried at sometimes. Clearly they're comfortable with it. There's been no issues with them so far taking the curb, and there you go. The right wheels lifting up off the ground, taking a little bit of airtime, but no issue for the 25. As there are cones scattered around in the second chicane. Shows that people have been taking a few liberties with the track limits. And extending their time a bit more over the 63. It's been a good lap here from the 25. We'll see whether or not it's a sub 29. And that's the pace we're looking for here. That is race winning pace. Fastest lap here, 1:28.6 for the 25 and a 1:28.7 for the 63. So both capable of those sub 29 times, and it's just over 1:29 for that time around. A bit of a mistake through turn 1. Still gap over 4 seconds now, as they pull away ever so slightly over the 63, but shows that the front two are capable of those sub 29 times, and are the only ones to do it. Third place, the 54, best lap of 1:29.9. Everyone else in the 30s or above. So 2 cars in the 1:28s, 1 car in the 1:29, everyone else in the 30s or above. So it shows the performance pace that the front two have, at the moment. Unfortunately, David, who is quicker than the rest, but not quick enough in the top two. He's certainly, just sat in that best of the rest spot at the moment is David, and was able to set that quick lap, but hasn't been able to find that pace again, and as such has not been able to pull away from Jose Oliveira there in P4. Still keeping in tabs, 1.8 seconds adrift is that 99 car. Track has now switched to optimum. It couldn't get much better than this temperature for the ambient and track as well. Gone up by a single degree. The sun is now shining. No more need for those headlights. See plenty of shadows there. The sun's still low, but certainly shining at the north end of the circuit. Track in the optimum state, and we're going to be having some very quick lap times for the rest of the race. If they don't make a little mistake like that, there, the 25 with the good track conditions, wants to make the most of it, pushing just a tad too hard there through that right-hander, following the second chicane. Dropping off the back there a little bit, the 99, that gap now 2.5 seconds to the 54. So yeah, losing a bit of time to third place, that final step on the podium. We will check in with Diego Giraldo, then the 77 Lamborghini, this purple, pink and black livery, also very neatly done. We'll forget that we just saw that brief mistake into the final hairpin, and carry on like all is well. But good to see them putting in the laps here at Zolder. 2 laps down, unfortunately. No, I believe that is actually 1 lap down, but because of ACC's timing system, it does get a little bit confused. 15 seconds off the back of Derek McCall that last lap, though. With the mistake meant he was 3 seconds slower than the 513. Really not what the Lamborghini needs. But still, turning laps and learning all the same. Diogo here, I believe, rather new to the world of sim racing, let alone ACC. Is out there learning how to pilot the GT3 Lamborghini the best he can. And that is what we like to see. And yeah, coming P7 at Brands Hatch, sharing the car with Serrano as well. Not sure if that car's been shared today or not. We'll see at the pit stop if there's a driver swap or not. Oh, sorry, that was qualifying there. P7 in qualifying. And finishing P6 in the race, actually. 1 lap down in the end. But still P6 all the same. And was a full lap ahead of P7. So solid result there with the 9 finishes, the 12 starters that we had at Brands Hatch to come P6 in the middle. Pretty good showing there from the Peretes RT 77 team. I'm gonna presume that's how it's pronounced until someone tells me different. But certainly a good showing from them. And looking at the best laps and the way they went about the race, their fastest lap out of those who finished was the slowest. It was a 1:26.2. Actually, no, it wasn't. Sorry, it's a Dupanov had the fastest lap. But It shows that although the raw pace wasn't there at Brands Hatch for the Lamborghini that we're watching right now, the consistency was. No, they finished ahead of 3 other teams there, so they were on track, doing laps, keeping themselves out of trouble, which is what you want when it comes to racing and endurance racing, just racing as a whole, is to finish. First you must finish. That's what they did. 3 of those drivers that turned up last month failed to finish, so immediately doing better than those three teams. And of course today two have retired as well, so 77, keeping himself out of trouble, has automatically finished better than 2 of the other starters. So fair play to the 77 for keeping things consistent, although a few mistakes here and there, a couple of trips into the gravel and the grass, bit of an exploration, but nothing huge. And when they've been lapped, they've kept themselves out the way of those faster cars and been generally quite a respectful and enjoyable team to deal with. So in that regard, 77 has been a very welcomed driver to the series themselves, and the second driver, Serrano, that we saw at Brands Hatch. So yeah, happy with their performance. That gap at the front again, 1.6. So it's come down again, as it was a 1:31.9 for our leader. Must have made a mistake. Either that, it was getting called up behind the 33 there. I believe that was Keishan Hall that we're seeing there, and indeed possibly being held up a little bit there from the Aston Martin, not too sure. And they make their way through turn 1. And we'll go on board then with 25 and see what Keishan Hall does here. You don't have to immediately dart out of the way with blue flags. It is an advisory to let you know that there is a faster car behind you, but I doubt Keishan will put up a fight. That was close there. That was a little closer than I think the 25 would have wanted there. A bit wide through turn 3 for Keishan Hall. Then just let the power out to allow the Porsche to go through the inside, but it was close when they met on the exit there at turn 3. See the blue flags waving. Keishan Hall will know that the 63 is right behind him. We'll see how he decides to navigate this one. Tricky to do so through this tight twisty section here, but coming out of the right hander here, I imagine it's, that the Aston will just pull to one side, or will allow the inside to the 63 coming into the hairpin. If the 63 goes for it, does not. Keishan Hall would have allowed it, in fact pulls out there at the end of the braking zone. So well read there from the 63, and well orchestrated from the 33 as well. I think Keishan did everything that was expected of him there, because you don't have to dive out the way like you see in Formula 1 or other Formula categories. It is just an advisory like you see in IMSA, just to let you know that there's a faster car behind. And it looks like Keishan read that, and in both times just pulled offline and showed the body language of the car to let them know that he's letting them through. And the gap 1.7, so the 63 has gained a tenth out of it, but not gained a lot. No one's gained or lost a huge amount there, so that was dealt with very well with those two cars going through the 33. And enables the fight to continue. About half a lap worth of track then clear to the 99, which is about across the start finish line. So they've got a lot of room to play with here before catching up to any back markers. But of course that could change with the pit stop phase, which should be happening from about now. That gap creeping up to 2 seconds. Gap coming down for Gerardo as well. That's now 12 seconds. And in fact was a bit quicker than McCall's on that previous lap. So possibly a mistake there for the 513 in P6. Have a look here at P3 making their way past the Lamborghini. And of course, as I mentioned just a moment ago, 77 keeping themselves out of the trouble, and also not getting in the way of those faster than him. Just pulled off to one side, very clear. Intention to work were clear and obvious there from the Lamborghini, and just allowed the 54 to go past. So that's what we'd like to see. Good racing, discipline and etiquette there from the 77. 54 now 5 seconds ahead of the 99, pulling that gap quite substantially now to the BMW, and looks like third place will be somewhat secure. And you might be able to tell I've clicked the auto director on now, because we are changing camera angles every 5 seconds here, from helicam to onboards to rear wing shots. So yeah, just letting it do its thing. Just quite curious to see what the generic auto director within ACC is capable of. I'm not even capable of saying the word capable. That's a little embarrassing. But it's choosing relatively good ones. I'm not the biggest fan of camera set 1. If anyone has done ACC broadcasting before, you'll know that there's 2 camera sets to choose from. Set number 1 is sort of dynamic, compared to set 2, which are more fixed point cameras like you would see in the real world. They're a bit more realistic. Whereas if we have a look at anything in set 1, the camera itself is moving, as opposed to the camera being pointed and zooming on a fixed platform. Set number 1 is like it's on a dolly, or it was like a cable camera. It's moving physically in the world, which I don't particularly like, because obviously that's not realistic. The only moving camera we have is the pit wall camera, I guess you could call it, in F1. Is that camera on the cables in the sky, which is hooked up above the pit wall. A little deep there into the second chicane. No harm, no foul though for the 54. So we'll have a look here at the 99, which has just got himself past the Lamborghini, which makes a bit of a mistake in the background there. You can see there how the camera is panning like that, and then pans very delayed there. That's why we don't like camera set 1. It's a very strange camera set compared to camera set 2. It's very unnatural looking. That wasn't too bad there, to be honest. But yeah, you see here, this is a very unrealistic camera. Why is it just floating here? So it's more dynamic, more cinematic, I guess you could call it. Is camera set 1, but of course not very realistic. But that's what the auto director has chosen, and that's what we will be sticking with until it decides otherwise. Into the pits though, we'll come out of that and have a look at Derek McCord into the pits and out of it. We are at the halfway mark there. Thank you, random Danish Norwegian man, something Scandinavian voice. I'm not actually quite sure whose voice that is, but thank you to that guy for telling us we are at the halfway point. We have lost 2 cars from this race, unfortunately. We have lost Danilo Bettesi and William Lebowski from this race. Derek McCord is the first driver to make his stop. David Shareski in from P4, now making his pit stop. Not mandatory, of course. As you see there, it's only a green box next to their driver numbers, meaning that there is no mandatory pit stop, but the length of race dictates by physics, I guess you could say, that you need a pit stop. And I guess for most people, it's sensible to do it at the halfway point, as it will share the tire load evenly. Although, of course, the longer you go in your first hour, your first stint, the easier it is for the second one. If you are going to change tires at that pit stop, it means they have less and less time to go, and with less time to go, it means you're likely going to be spending less time on track. So your fuel stop should be a little bit quicker as well, because you're putting in less fuel, and as a result, less fuel, less weight means you're kinda on the tires as well. So it's a bit of a win-win when doing that. But of course, the big drawback is how far you're going to be extending the first stint tires, because at that point, with heavy fuel, with a not so rubbered in track, we did start off with a fast track, so a bit of a saviour for these guys today. But of course, battling mistakes at the start, you're trying to get yourself into the groove, into a rhythm, maybe some lockups here and there. Your first hour is always going to be worse on the tyres than the second hour. So by the time you get to the end of your first hour, the tyres are going to be crying for help. Screaming, in fact. They're going to be not very happy at all. So that's why you do see some people even come in before the hour to just get rid of them. But not this time around. 2 pit stops completed then for the 513 and the 54. And in come our 2 leaders then at the same time then, so no strategy difference for the 25 or the 63. Both of them coming in at the same time. Keishan Hall will carry on another lap. We'll have a look at what the 99 and 77 will do for their pit stop choices. And of course, I'm pretty sure, I think the 77 has already been in, but possibly not. It might have been someone else. We see there then the... Oh, it's a stop and go 30 for the 63. Ouch. 99 as well in the pits. So that is for speeding in pit lane. There for the 63. And as pit exit, I believe, is only controlled by the game, unless you click up a gear, that would have been done on pit entry. Not getting the car stopped quick enough for the 63, and that is all but gifted the race win then to the 25. Unfortunate for Danny Phillips, the 63. A stop go 30. Ouch. I'm going to have to see where the 99 is coming out. Oh, it's still in the pits there. There's a 33. Keishan Hall yet to make his stop comes through. And there. Kulik then, so that was a driver change for the 25, and I believe Brothers then, if to see what was said on the Twitch chat there, is that he is his brother, and that is pretty cool. So brother team there, which is nice to see the family relationship nice and strong. That they're sharing a car and sharing an activity together. In he comes then, Danny Phillips, for that stop and go. We'll see where that puts him out relative to his rivals. See where it puts him out relative to the 25, because the 25 could come anywhere close to putting a lap on him with such a short lap time around here. So I have to keep an eye on that 63 where he's going to come out. Keishan Hall, again, not coming into the pits. There goes that 63. Already underway. Was that stop go 30 already? If so, that was very quick. No, it's still there. Curious. Maybe that was fuel or something? I'm not quite sure what's happened to the 63 there. Went into the pits, cost himself a lot of time. Didn't even serve the stop go 30 unless, if by some misfortune another stop go 30 has been awarded to the 63. Not sure what's going on there at all. Whatever's happened, congratulations to the 25 on this race win, provided they don't put it in the barrier at some point, which by what we saw from the first driver in the first hour, flawless from the 25, and I'm sure this second driver is exactly the same. Kukik here is probably just as good when it comes to the consistency. Of course, I want to say there's a battle here between the 33 and the 54, but there's not, because the 33 does owe us a pit stop at some point, as does the 99's made its pit stop there, so they should be owing us at some point. 63, let's see what happens again. Nope, they're going through the chicane, carrying on for another lap. They've got 3 laps to serve it. Keishan Hall as well, carrying on for another lap. Not quite sure what's going on with his fuel mileage, but it's substantial, that's for sure. It's very impressive. Means he's going to have a very short stop indeed, but he will be 5th place, firmly behind the McLaren and the BMW. But seems like David here, not even going to have to wait for the pit stop phase, wants to get past Keishan Hall straight away. Let's run on board with him. So you run down to the first chicane. That big rear wing of the Aston Martin blocking the view. So we run down the hill then through the sweeping left-hander into the second chicane. Again, it stops down into second gear. Bit more curb taken from the Aston Martin there. Allows him to extend that gap just a little bit, does Keishan Hall. Gap is about 3.5, 4 tenths of a second then, so we come across the second sector's line. It's actually 5 tenths, half a second there. Coming into the hairpin, and the McLaren good on the brakes there, does well to close the gap and maintain that on exit as well. Good traction there for the 54. So we come into the third and final chicane then. McLaren right on the bumper of the Aston Martin, who refuses to come into the pits. 77 there, Geraldo into the pits as well for their stop. And in the slipstream, going to look to the inside here for turn 1. Yes, we are. David then into the inside there. Runs a little bit wide, but is able to keep themselves all gathered up there into 3rd place then, ahead of Keishan Hall, who does still owe us a pit stop. Neatly done there by the 54. Has a 6.5 second buffer over the 99 there. The BMW, so has a bit of a safe breathing space. Should allow them to get themselves into clean air. Now they are ahead of Keishan Hall, and a stop go 30 for the 77 as well. Same issue I imagine in for the 63, speeding into pit lane. That is very unfortunate indeed for the 77 car. So into the pits then, the 63 comes in for attempt 2 of the stop and go 30. The 33, Keishan Hall, finally into the pits for his service to get some fuel. We'll see what the 77 does as well. Let's hope for the 63's sake that that stop go 30 is completed successfully. But it's going to drop him. There we go. So Oliveira's through, and I imagine Keishan Hall might slip through as well. Possibly. Or at least will put himself a lap back, actually. Or not, but the stop go 30 is cleared for the 63's released. And he has some work to do to catch up to the 99 and the 54. We'll see what that gap is. In fact, I'm just going to look at the track map. It is huge there. The 99 and the 54 are miles away. Unfortunate for the 63. He's got a lot of work to do if they want to get themselves back to the podium. Geraldo then 77 into the pits for their stop go 30. Hopefully theirs is completed successfully, so they don't have to spend more time in the pits. The 77 is moving and is completed, so good work from them to get that completed first time around. They have rejoined the track 2 laps down to the leader and a lap down on Derek McCord. You can see everyone is pretty spaced out now. 54 and the 99 is our closest battle. Phillips 63 there. He's got a mountain to climb if he wants to catch up to the 99, which is coming into the second chicane, and he is just going through the first corner. 45 minutes to go, just over, on the clock. And your leader, Nicholas Kukic there, taking over duties for the second half of this race. A bit of dirt there now kicking up on the side of the Porsche. The 25 comfortably ahead of the rest of the field, about 2/3 of a lap ahead of the 54 car. After its main challenger, the 63, got itself a drive-through penalty, and on first attempt of serving a drive-through penalty was unable to do so successfully. Had to come into the pits again for a second time, managed to get that stop go 30 successfully dealt with, to come out in 4th place with a mountain to climb if he wants to get himself back onto the podium. With 45 minutes to go, not quite sure if that's going to be possible without a mistake from someone in the top 3. But anything can happen, and it certainly always most certainly does. Coming across the line then to start lap 50 of the race. Taking them off one by one. It's certainly flown by. They come to the first sequence of corners. Nice and tidy. It was a 1:30 30.2 that previous time around. As they warm themselves into the car. See if they have any pace to be found. Of course, fastest lap was set by their teammate in the first half of the race. A bit sketchy through the first chicane. A 1:28.6, and they were consistently in the 1:29s. Was the first driver of the 25. We'll see whether or not this driver, Nicholas here, can match that pace. I think that was the traction control you could hear there, cutting in and out. Clearly a little bit of interest there on the throttle and the traction control, just limiting back just a little bit, just to make sure he doesn't do anything too reckless to the car. But coming across the line, it is a 1:30.3, so not too far off the 1:29 margin that we're looking for here. That gap between second and third now over 8 seconds to 54, solidifying the dominance over the 99 that it's had throughout this race. And surely the 99 unable to give anything back against that 54 to try and challenge for that place. The 63, that previous lap around the fastest car on track, now is the 63, a 1:29.1, very quick from them compared to a 1:31.7. It's 2.6 quicker, 2.6 seconds quicker than the 99 Jose Onivera. And although the gap is large, even with two seconds a lap quicker, I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up to the 99, but maybe within the final 10 minutes we'll see what that gap is like and whether or not they are able to put on a final chance move on for the final step of the podium. Currently improving on their time. We haven't seen on the broadcasting directive that we use, or that is used in ACC, you get the little lap time delta on whether or not they're going quicker or not, and there we go, quicker, a 1:29.6 there. Very quick lap indeed from David Shareski, quickest off the race then. About a tenth or so quicker than their previous best, but yeah, not many people going quicker than their personal bests. Loads of people in the reds just maintaining pace, although Nicholas here apparently is also going quicker than his teammates' personal best of 1:28.6 we're looking for. It was a 1:29.9, so that delta just lied to me straight up. But new personal best there for second place, David Shareski in the 54 car. Continuing to put the pressure on Jose to try and keep up, which he so far is unable to do. That Lamborghini sounding beautiful on the downshifts there, the V10 ringing out. Certainly one of the better sounding cars on the grid here and in GT3 racing as a whole. Looks to be a relatively quick lap here as well from the 77s that come across the line. Unless the delta is lying to me again, we'll wait and see. No, personal best there for Diego there as a 1:31.2 personal best. Shows that the driver forever improving there, which is what is wanted to see. There's that continual improvement there, which is reassuring and showing that they are not getting frustrated. They're taking their time and they're learning, finding the pace, finding out where they're slower and learning from themselves, and possibly when they're being lapped, learning from what they're doing as well, just having a brief glance and seeing what quicker drivers around them, what sort of lines and braking points they're taking, and adapting and learning from that. So yeah, good running there from Diego Gerardo. 1:31.2, quickest lap of the race for them. For any of those into their F1 and been watching the F1 testing these past few days, I've just been sent a tweet saying that Will Buxton has said to someone else that he saw Lando Norris punch a wall out of frustration. And if you've been watching testing, that McLaren has not been looking like a fun car to be involved with. Certainly not the slowest car. That might still be the Williams, if not the AlphaTauri, but the McLaren has not been looking very good. Continual issues, lots of issues with the wheel cover, the spec part, which is the same for everyone, and they've been having loads of issues. It's the same part as last year, I believe. I don't think it's changed. They've been having loads of mounting issues with it on the front left or the front right, and it's fallen off twice. And a few other issues. They did the least amount of laps in testing as well, so something not right in McLaren this year. So if you are a Lando or a Piastri fan, I apologise. I hope they can find something in the next week or so. Aside from that, looking good, Aston Martin has been the talk of pretty much everyone, apart from the top three, of course, which I think is unchanged. It's Red Bull ahead of Ferrari, ahead of Mercedes. Aston Martin will be on the heels of Mercedes, if that is what we are to believe from the talk at the paddock. Haas as well. An improvement from them could be interesting, although their car seems a little hard to handle. When they can extract the pace, it's okay, but their braking is an issue again, harking back to 2018, where they never wanted to stop. Alfa Romeo just sort of sat in the middle, as is Alpine. Alpine could be quick, but they've got porpoising issues at the moment. So once they unlock that, a bit like Mercedes last year, they'll find some pace once they fix that issue. And yeah, those at the back, McLaren, Williams, AlphaTauri are your bottom three. And I think in 6th place then will be in 7th place will probably be Alfa Romeo. Seems to be in a bit of a no man's land at the moment. Quicker than the bottom three, but not quite quick enough to keep up with Alpine and Aston Martin either. So it's going to be an interesting year, Formula 1. Maybe McLaren can bounce back, but clearly Lando Norris not happy. We're going to switch to an onboard, I think of the 63 there actually, whilst I dip away for a moment to go get some more water and just refresh myself for the final 35 minutes of the race. Enjoy these couple of audio up laps, as they call it in Formula 1, of no commentary and pretty good on board from the pink Bentley piloted by Daniel Phillips. thank you all for bearing with there a couple of moments. Once I just get myself refreshed the final half an hour of this race, and it looks like here the 63 trying to unlap itself on the 25. Closing, and I imagine once he does close, the 25 will just allow the 63 through. There was absolutely no reason to not let that 63 through. So they're clearly quicker at this stage in the race. And they're an entire lap down, so they've got a big margin to catch up to. But the actual battle for position then, it is the 54. It's trying to get past Keishan Hall here for position. Here we go then, lads. Let's see what the McLaren versus the Aston Martin can do. British in nature, but will it be British in defence from Keishan Hall, who is an American, so I guess he wouldn't be. But coming into the final chicane, it is neck and neck, barely anything to separate these two cars. Coming across the line then, starting lap 57 for these two. And with half an hour to go, certainly worth defending this. You probably wouldn't have defended it in the first 15 minutes, even the first half an hour maybe, but now we're in the final half an hour. This is all to play for here, and the McLaren going for the outside to inside. Got the inside there. Good move from the 54. Got the overspeed from turn 2, carried it through to the inside at turn 3. Got that move done. Will Keishan Hall try and fight back? Certainly in the slipstream, going to be trying and looking. If there's any mistake from the McLaren like there was there, and this could be Keishan Hall's chance. As we see him powering up the hill then. Maybe he's going to look to the inside at the second chicane. Unable to do so, but certainly keeping the pressure on there. Not letting go of this just as yet. Still there, nose to tail then coming through into the final sector now. Hairpin's a good opportunity if Keishan has the run here, which it looks like he sort of does, but not quite close enough. He's showing the nose there, trying to show the intent on David here that we're with. Unable to scare him off that easily though. It's coming to the final chicane. We are now under half an hour to go then, the final quarter of this race. The battle for fourth position is on, currently in favour of the 54, but Keishan Hall there in the 63, and 63 and the 33, not letting it go yet. Seems there now. Keishan's lost a bit of pace, lost touch with the 54 there, and that gap has extended. Unfortunately for him there. Indeed, as we go over that sector line in 1.5 seconds there, so the 54 now ahead, and comfortably ahead then of the 33 car. It's 21 seconds then for Phillips to catch up to the 99 for second place. And he was almost 2 seconds quicker than Jose Oliveira on that previous lap. So this could be done. Just under half an hour ago, maintains that 2-second delta over the 99, then it could well be possible here for the 63 to catch up to second place on the 99 car. That driver that is under pressure is Jose Oliveira, that last lap of 1:30.1. And for Danny Phillips in the 63, it was 1 second quicker, 1:29.1. And there's a mistake there for the 99. So he knows he's under pressure, he knows that the 63 is coming. And the gap isn't huge with half an hour to go as we wait for him to cross the sector line. Just a moment's time, that 63, wait for it to pop up. 20.8 seconds. So it's not impossible there for the 63, and I think this BMW here, it knows that. It knows that the 63 will be, those final 5 minutes of the race will be close, will be worryingly close to mounting an attack on the BMW here. But we will have to wait and see whether or not the 63 can pull it off. With that mistake in the second sector, then the gap falls to 19.5 seconds. Not what Oliveira wants to be seeing. Let's check in with our favourite white rims user, Derek McCauley. You see it on the rims of the Mercedes, white rims. It's like his secret addiction, which isn't secret. This man will do anything for a pair of white rims on a racing car. He is a big fan of it. I think it goes back to the DTM days or something like that. You'd have to ask him, but then he talked for an hour and you'd probably fall asleep. But nonetheless, it is his favourite scheme and works really well with the Mobile 1 white, red, blue livery that he's got on it. It's actually a very smart looking car. So I don't blame him in this instance for harking on about the white rims, because it does look good on this Mercedes 2020 GT3 car. He runs a bit wide through the hairpin. In a bit of no man's land, unfortunately, is McCord. 2 laps down on the 33, but a lap ahead of the 77. So won't be challenging anyone and won't be challenged either. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to go a lap down to the 25 anyway. It's just behind there in the background. There it is. So it looks like he's about to go yet another lap down. Unfortunately, you see the 63 after getting through the 25, unlapping itself. It's pulled away a substantial amount there. In fact, Nicholas here, clearly not the faster of the two drivers in that 25 car, consistently about a second slower than the starting driver, but still keeping it safe, keeping it on the track, and the lead that they have means that the 25 can afford to be a bit slower. Now that might not actually be their true pace because they are a lap ahead of everyone else. There is no need to push things. So the main gap that we're going to be having to look out for then is now to 16 seconds forever, coming down, decreasing. 1.4 seconds quicker was Phillips over Oliveira that previous time around. 22.5 minutes to go. Let's see whether or not the 63 can close. I think it will be close, maybe within a couple of seconds on the back of the 99, but to pass the BMW as well in that time frame, it's going to be tricky. But if anyone can do it, it is the 63 car. Second in the championship, just behind the 54. So we're third and fourth for the moment. It's going to be very close in the championship between our first and second places. And of course the 25 of a race win here will shoot itself into contention as well. And of course the 99 in the world in second will also bring itself into contention as well. So it could be a four-way fight for this 6-round championship. Now we'll check at that sector time as we go over into the front sector. 13.5 seconds. It's coming down very quickly. Possible mistake there for the 99 maybe. So this is certainly on for the 63 and is very much needed to make sure they stay ahead of the 54 or get ahead of the 54 in the championship fight, which I think they will do if they finish 2 places ahead of the 54. We'll have a look at the 99, the Rower racing car. 13 seconds now. Previous lap time 1:30.8. The 63's just done a 28.9, 1.9 seconds quicker that time around. So there must have been a mistake for the 99 because that's quite slow in general as well. Mega quick though from the 63 to get itself back into the 28 again is very, very impressive indeed. Gap continues to come down, 11.5. I think, yeah, I'm changing my prediction. Left, right, and centre here, and I certainly think it's on now. That Phillips can get ahead of Oliveira for that second place on the podium. We'll have to get past Keishan Hall here in the Aston Martin. I'm sure that won't be too much strife. For the BMW, we'll go on board for a little bit. 18 minutes to go in this race. Hobbling over the curbers, left, right, and then right again. A little bit of left as well there, just for good measure. Even it out 2 for 2 in that complex of corners. A little deep there, but actually gets it stopped and rotated. The 99, I thought they were going to run into the back of the Aston Martin there a little bit. Blue flags waving then for the 33 Aston Martin. Won't be surprised if they pull off here into turn 1. But still, just far enough ahead. But Keishan Hall is not feeling the necessity to get out of the way of the 99. And possibly 99 going to get held up a little bit. Whoa! And a spin there for the 99. Into the wall. Just lost the rear end there. Coming through turn 1. It's really surprising. It didn't look like they were going all that quick, but possibly in anger or desperation, or maybe getting a little bit annoyed that they were being held up by Keishan Hall there. They put on the power a bit too much, but it didn't sound like they were on power. Just maybe half throttle. And into a spin they go, and there is the 63 right behind, 5.5 seconds. That's made Philip's life much, much easier now. I think reduce that down by 2/3. From 15 or so seconds to 5. Just like that. And the fight is very much now on. 15 minutes to go. Let's go back then to the bright pink Bentley. Let's see. That's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Let's see how they are doing. They can see there the BMW coming through turn 2. The target is sighted for the 63. It no longer has to rely on the relative, on the delta, to see how far away that BMW is. It can physically see how far away the BMW is now. It knows with 15 minutes there's plenty of time there to at least catch up to the back of the BMW. It knows it's quicker. Yeah, 6 seconds lost from Jose on that previous lap because of the spin. Thankfully it was only a minor tap on the wall. Certainly not the major tap, I guess you could call it, that Daniele Bettesi had in the older BMW at the start of the race, with that big damage that he received. Looks like 99 is catching up to the 33 again here. Whether or not the 33 knows that the 63 is right on the 99's tail, not too sure. But I'm sure there'll be some flashing of the lights and a bit more eagerness from Oliveira to get past Keishan Hall to try and lap him there to make sure he doesn't lose so much time here to Danny Phillips in the 63 car. It's going to be very tight for the end of this race. Again, a bit more time shaved there on the BMW. There's got to be some damage there to that car. Not a huge amount, but enough to cost it some time. More so than it's already losing. .1 seconds the gap there. And it's forever coming down. Hobbling over the curbs, and a mistake there for BMW. Now 1.5 seconds the gap. This is not going to come down to the wire at all. We've got 13 minutes here to have a dogfight between these two, and it's clear the 63 is quicker in this moment in time. Keishan Hall just up the road there. Can he play a factor in this? He's already played half a factor in this, to be honest. Whether or not the blame will be put on Keishan Hall from Oliveira there, it certainly wasn't Keishan Hall's fault at all. But I'm sure the BMW will be a little bit annoyed by the Aston Martin, and he'll be saying without that Aston Martin blocking his way, he would not have had that spin in turn 1. But that is in the past now. What matters now is his next 13 minutes plus the final lap. Can the BMW hold off for that amount of time? Keishan Hall just up the road there, and it'll only be a matter of moments before they catch him up in the Aston Martin. And they have to re-navigate him as a lapped car. Here we go then, battle for second position here. Just a few moments to go in this race. Hopefully it's not over too soon. Hopefully we can have a good battle here between two of the largest cars on the grid. The BMW M4 GT3 car and the Bentley GT Continental GT3 car. Coming into the second chicane, a little bit of defense from the BMW. Just to cover off the inside, but nothing major. As we run our way down to the final hairpin now. Coming out of that, nice and neat from both cars. Nothing to separate themselves at the moment. We know that Phillips is the quicker driver, but stuck behind the BMW has been brought down to the 99 car's pace. We'll see as we cross the line then. It is a 1 minute 31.3 and a 1 minute 31.2. It's just a tenth quicker there for Danny Phillips, and that is showing that he is caught up to the back of the BMW, unable to get past. Quicker run there, defensive from the 99 then to turn 2. Tries to squeeze off the Bentley just a little bit down the left hand side, but unable to do so. Maintains a tighter line coming out of that corner through the long unending right-hander at turn 2. A bit defensive, and all the 63 almost hits the 99 there. You see that they had to reapply the brakes, try and jut out of the way there of the 99 to avoid contact. Heads up driving there from Danny Phillips to avoid contact heavily over the curbs there. Once again, good run up the hill. Sure, the BMW will go defensive indeed. Just extends the steering column or steering angle outwards just a little bit. Allows them to drift over to the right side a little bit earlier. But to the outside then goes the Bentley. Will he be able to swing it around the outside? That's going to be hard to do. Unable to do so. And the BMW is doing all that it needs to do right now. It's defended for 3 minutes so far. It's got to do it for a further 10. Bentley, though, is hounding the back of this BMW. And whilst this is happening, they are slowly catching up to Keishan Hall. When they do, this is going to be a very interesting dynamic if Keishan Hall does not decide to pull over and let these two through. Coming through turn 1, lap 72 then of this race. As the leader is about to cross the line onto lap 73, the Bentley looking left, right and right. This surely has got to be it then for Phillips. He's got the inside line into turn 3. BMW is going to try and hold it around the outside, but no chance for him there. Got hung out to dry there, and into second place Danny Phillips there, the 63 Bentley. Down the inside at turn 3, able to get past. Now he's got to deal with Keishan Hall there in the Aston Martin. Hope that he doesn't get held up and the same fate doesn't befall him that happened to the 99. Nine minutes to go, and Oliveira has done a very good job to hold on to P2 for so long. Of course, with the stop and go 30 for Danny Phillips and the failed attempt at serving that stop and go 30, really put the 63 on the back foot there, but has done a marvellous job to claw back that lost time, get himself back into second. And the pace he's showing right now compared to the 25, had he not have had those issues, maybe he could have challenged for the lead on the 25. But we do have to take that with a pinch of salt. Maybe the 25 is just running conservative lap times due to the stellar advantage that they have over the rest of the field. Now he is up to the back of Keishan Hall, looking to the outside there. Keishan should let this one go, but defends a little bit. That might annoy the 63, just a tad. But it looks like the Bentley will go to the inside. No, ducks out of it, thinks better of it. And the 33 very much holding up the Bentley now. Not moving out the way just as of yet, it's allowing the 99 Oliveira to get a little bit closer, but it's a mistake there for Keishon, allows the 63 to go past into some fresh air. Then we'll see how long it takes the 99 to get past and whether or not Keishon will be kind at any point, or decides to just carry on his racing etiquette, which is fair enough. Blue flag waving then in the background for Keishon Hall. He's yet to pull over though, or move out the way, or allow the 99 then. Almost had deja vu there, with the 99 making a mistake, having a rear ender moment at turn 1. Thankfully managed to save that one and not end up in the barrier like we saw the first time around. Coming into the final stages then of the race, and for those that have stayed with me and GRG for the entire time, I applaud you and I am very thankful for that. Seeing that there's always been at least a handful of you watching the stream according to Twitch, so I thank you for that. And hopefully we'll have some more competitors to watch next time. We did have 20 cars on the sign up for this race. Unfortunately, only half of them could really turn up today, which is a shame, but it is promising that hopefully next time for round 3, those 20 plus maybe a few more will join us for the next round. Of course, more the merrier is certainly the key phrase here. The more cars on track, the more likely you are to have a battle with someone. Gives you more enjoyment as a driver, gives me more enjoyment as a commentator. So honestly, the more the merrier. Even if you are just tailing at the back of the field, and unfortunately we have sort of had that for Diego Giraldo today, but he's been learning and he's been consistently getting quicker over the course of this race, and maybe he'll be on the back of McCord and Lebowski, who was in this race previously before disconnecting. And you can't get better without actually putting the effort in, and that is what Giraldo is doing. And maybe come the end of round 6 or maybe round 12 in the second half of the GT Championship, he might be challenging with those further up the field. I'm looking at Shareski and Keishon Hall. So certainly get yourself an entry into this, and yeah, the more we can have, the better it will be for everyone. Five minutes to go, just under. Jose not able to get past. Keishon Hall misses his braking point a little bit there into the hairpin. That gap is now almost 8 seconds there. Phillips has gone off and run away into the distance. Very convincing drive from him, and yeah, without those issues, maybe he could have challenged for the win. He was 2 seconds quicker than the 25 that time around, showing that there is pace in that 63. But the effort from the first driver of the 25 did all that they needed to in the first hour of this race, solidifying that win for them. Just have a little play there to see what I could do, but I was hoping to get intervals as opposed to overall, but I'm not quite sure what button that is. As they still, though, on the back of Keishon Hall, this is not for position. Keishon Hall is a lap down car. Those marshals have been waving the blue flags for about 5 minutes now, for himself and for the 63 Bentley. But BMW is yet to shape up a move on the Aston Martin to show intent to actually get past. It is quite close now, but is unable to actually get himself past that Aston Martin, running wide through that sweeping right-hander. There we go. There's the shape for the move, and when that move finally does happen, you see that Keishan Hall allows it, doesn't fight it, then becomes the blue flag car, just lets himself through. Although it looks like he's actually challenging to re-overtake here, but of course will back out of it eventually. And the 99 finally makes his way past the 33 of Keishan Hall. Looks like Keishan isn't quite finished with this one here. Wants a little bit of a dogfight with the 99 here. With 2 minutes to go. Wants a little bit of entertainment for himself. The 99 knows he will not be catching the 63, and the 54 is a long, long way away. So awesome bit of no man's land is the 99 here. As is Keishan Hall as well. On the same lap as the 54, but about half a... well, at least a third of a lap behind the 54. So Keishan Hall knows that he won't be challenging for 4th either today. We've got 1 minute on the clock then. Now, it looks like we will get one more lap after this. Coming into the hairpin then, for I think it should be the penultimate time. A little bit deep there from Nicholas. But it really doesn't matter if he loses 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. He will still be ahead of the 63, which is going through turns 2 and 3 at the moment. We should get the call that the leader is on the final lap as he comes across the line, hopefully. And there we go. So the final lap then begins. Lap 79, so there will be 80 laps completed. That was not the best start to the final lap of the race from our leading car, the number 25, completely missing the apex braking point and generally everything considered to be valuable in turn 1, but a flash of a light, I'm pretty sure he knows or has been told that he's on stream right now, so hopefully we can keep it clean for the remainder of this race. But it has been a dominant performance by both the drivers in the 25 here. Brothers, I have been led to believe, or been told. I'm sure they will be celebrating well this Saturday evening come the end of this race, coming then into the second chicane for the final time. Misses that braking point. This is really not the flourish to the end of the race that the Porsche possibly would have wanted, but it's the flourish we're getting. A little bit ambitious, you could say, possibly trying to showboat, maybe just an honest mistake. We'll go with the latter this time around, just for their own benefit. But out of the final hairpin for the final time, getting the power ends will find that braking zone for the final chicane, and they will be taking what is a very dominant win here. 2 hours of Zolder. Their main challenger, the 63, with stop and go 30, put them out of contention at the halfway point, but nonetheless I don't think it would have been enough to even overcome the duo here. The 25 of Twice Racing across the line to win. 80 laps completed. Congrats to the 25 Porsche there, winning the 2 hours of Zolder. Next across the line though, Derek McCord in P6 there, a few laps down there on the leaders, but a respectable P6 for him. And then after him, the 77. Last out of those finishing today. It's been a troublesome race for the 77, but stuck with it. And that's what we like to see. That's the correct spirit from the 77. Across the line there in the background, David Shareski, the 54, who was once your title leader. I don't think will be anymore because Danny Phillips here, second place, 2 places ahead of the 54, should take over your championship lead then at the end of round 2. It's done very well to come back from that stop-go 30 penalty to take P2. Congratulations to him. Bit of a slide, celebration side, damaging a bit of suspension there, but I'm sure we'll be happy with that one nonetheless, with the clawback that he has done. And of course, Jose here coming P3, losing P2 in the final 10 minutes to that 63 car. Might be a little bit disappointed, but still on the podium. That's something to enjoy, that's for sure. He is not his brother. Someone is someone's brother. I'm not sure who. Someone belongs to a brother. We're going to go with that. Regardless, congratulations to those who finished our 9 starters and our 7 finishers. We hope to see you next time at... Well, let me just get the overlay up so I can explain. There we go. Next time out then, 2 hours of Suzuka, and exactly 1 month's time of course after that. Imola, Zandvoort, and our season finale, 2.4 hours of Spa. But hope you've enjoyed this one today. Those on track and those watching us, thank you all very much for taking part in your own respective way. We'll see you again in a month's time for the 2 hours of Suzuka. Get yourself signed up for that one. We'll see you guys in the future. Stay safe, y'all.